We are expecting cloudy weather all through the southern sector during the forecast period. We are expecting some sunny breaks in the afternoon. The north this morning, we expect it to be partly cloudy. Then by late afternoon into the evening hours, we are expecting some isolated cases of rain and thunder. For the coast to the middle portions, we are expecting rain and thunder this morning. Those of us around Asamaka say we are having some showers this morning. Appiah-Ampofo and its environs are also in the rain. Later this morning, we expect it to affect the Accra, Kasua, Cape Coast, Sakrade, Axim, Ho, Koforidua.
All right. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Felicity.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, by late afternoon, we expect those of us over the transition and the north to have isolated cases of rain and thunder. The state of the sea today is expected to be rough. We are having rain and thunder clouds over the sea, so they have to be extra careful if they have to use the sea. The water lake this morning from the north down to the Akosombo area is pretty cool for fishing, but those of us around the Adan, Appiah-Ampofo area, Sogakope area is not cool for any fishing activities. We have to wait after the storm, then we can go back for our fishing activities. Temperatures is expected around 31, 32 for the coastal strip, 31, 35 for the middle sector, and then those of us over the north, our temperatures will range between 35 and 38 degrees Celsius. So this is how we are expecting our Tuesday to be like in terms of weather.
And for parents, while their children are leaving home, you expect them to have some protective clothing for the children, correct?
Yes, correct. They have to get them some umbrellas or some raincoats and then some pullovers so that they can protect themselves from the cold.
Is it true that some bad air is flowing around, some monsoon winds that's making people cough? Do you know?
I can't really tell. I need to dive into it a little bit and be able to. But anytime we are having an outbreak of rain and thunder around the country, we normally experience this type of weather. So maybe, but I have to dive into it a little bit. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll be able to give you an answer.
Felicity, I thank you so much for your time this morning. Grateful that you could join us. And that's Felicity Ahafia-Nyo joining us on the phone here. Kweku Killer from countryside to I did it. Well, the headlines this morning, the Finder newspaper says NLA bags 290 million, I beg your pardon, in 2022. Sami Ewuku says so. And ECG staff vendors busted over alleged 2.1 million Ghana cedis theft, granted bail. Over 95% of Ghana cocoa safe from EU ban. Dr. Meriton. And mining disaster looms at Brahabebome as Chinese Galamsey contractor leads Brahabebome youth into sealed off and disused mine shaft. Also, nationwide payroll monitoring begins. Whistleblowers to be rewarded. That's according to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission there. The ABC News says we have put NLA on global map. Ewuku touts achievements as Director General. Also, Nanton MP was stitched up in Parliament's washroom. Habib Idrisu revealed, and he says his life was less important at the time than the vote which had to be taken to impose the taxes on all of us. ECG must give all customers prepaid meters now, including our top politicians who are using postpaid still in their homes. If you contact me back door, I'll give you some of the names. Ministry of Health gets clearance to employ 6,387 nurses. And the daybreak this morning, e-levy, where the jobs day. Remember, I asked this question yesterday that Mr. Furiata said we're going to have 11 million jobs as a result of the e-levy. We are still collecting the e-levy. So I asked this question yesterday, where the job day? Perhaps the daybreak caught the flu as well, and they are sharing it with us. Surgical suture shortage hits Tema General Hospital. I was speeding towards Parliament. Nanton MP speaks about accident, and we're told he broke a lot of traffic laws. Shouldn't he be before the courts at this point? I don't know. Budumburam eviction attack on Gomoa East District, according to the DCE. Helen?
Let's take a look at what the Ghanaian Times has to say this morning. Fair Wages and Salaries Commission starts nationwide payroll cleanup to get rid of ghost names, irregularities, undeserving allowances, amongst others. 5 political parties push for amendment of 1992 Constitution. President must be emphatic on his LGBTQ plus stance. You have the most Reverend Joseph Osei-Bonsu pictured here. Also, police arrest man for allegedly assaulting ECG workers. The Anchor newspaper this morning says wanted thug blows Axim police cover. Says he leads officers to extort money from illegal minors, and I'm sure we've all seen that video that went viral. That's captured on the front page. School feeding caterers withdraw service. They've had some back and forth with the minister, we're told. We'll expand on that as we go along. NLA outlines measures to rake in revenue. Notorious robber gunned down in Takwa. And this one, very important, please. Mouthwash cannot replace toothbrushing.
I agree.
Mouthwash.
It's supposed to complement it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Complement, not replace.
Like we have, what do you call it? These supplements, food supplements. They are not supposed to replace food.
Thank you.
They're actually supposed to draw out the nutrients in the food for you to be able to get the detail.
Thank you, Dr. Hughes. So
I'm not a doctor.
For your dental health, they said mouthwash will not replace the toothbrush.
Yeah, so brush.
A word to the wise.
It's enough.
It's in the north.
It's enough, actually. William is joining us this morning.
Yes, sir.
Great. And do you have some papers there as well?
Yes, the Anchor. The Anchor this morning, wanted thug blows Axim police cover. I think you read
Yes, yeah, we've read the front pages. We can get into
But
the
this
details.
mouthwash thing, if you brush your teeth, are you supposed to spit out and wash out all the...
I've heard so many versions. I hear you're actually, when you spit out, you're not supposed to rinse. So you brushed your teeth, you spit out the excess residue, and you're supposed to just allow it to sit. The fluoride on the teeth.
A little water. I interviewed a dentist on TV3 New Day who said, just a little water.
Just a little water.
So that you can at least have them, because too much of it as well could erode the enamel. But what it is that a lot of people don't know that they must brush their gum and then the tongue.
That's right.
The tongue, we're told, has hair on it. So if you buy a regular toothbrush, you see that where the bristles are, right on the back of that, you see some markings. They are supposed to be used to brush the teeth, the tongue. Or you get
the scraper.
Yeah, you scrape it. Or you get a dedicated spoon that you can use to scrape each morning. So you leave that in the what do you call it, in the bathroom.
But I know a lot of people haven't brushed their tongue this morning. You are listening to us.
I mean, the tongue, the gum, the roof of the mouth. You know, the roof of the mouth. People don't do that.
Let me be honest.
So people just do
the roof as well.
Yeah. So people, I mean, I hesitate to be gentle because that's a very sensitive area.
Right.
But people generally, even the art of brushing the teeth, people get it wrong. You know, people actually, brush everything too. But it has to be in circular motion, trying to clean it out gently.
That I know.
Gently,
That's right.
all through, and then you do the gum and everything else. So it has to be done. It has to be done well.
I just learned about the spitting just last week. So, wow, we're not supposed to let everything go.
Yeah, you got to retain a little bit. Well,
people actually finish brushing and they drink a lot of water, rinse everything and throw it out. Cost 90. Zero.
Wash the mouth, power.
Yeah.
Seriously,
vigorously.
Ain't no way.
And there are those who also brush who think that once they get in there and start brushing, they must see spots of blood. If not, they have not done justice. There are people who think like that. I mean, if you brush and you regularly see spots of blood, it means that you have a dental problem. You have to see your dentist. But if you think that that's the criteria to be able to judge whether you did the job the best way, then there's a problem somewhere.
Maybe they don't want to use the enamel for anything.
They are who like they've never seen a dentist.
That is true.
How many Ghanaians have seen dentists?
That is very, very true. Walking around with cavities and all sorts. Anyway, that was Dental Hygiene 101 on 3FM Sunrise.
31 minutes after 6 here on the show. Nanton MP was stitched up in Parliament's washroom on page 5. The first Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Habib Idrisu, has shockingly revealed that the Member of Parliament Parliament for Nantel Mohammed Hadi Tuferu was stitched up in Parliament's washroom after suffering a near-fatal accident on his way to vote for the passage of the 3 new tax bills. Mohammed Tuferu was involved in an accident ahead of a crucial vote on the government's revenue bills on Friday. His car reportedly somersaulted several times before landing upside down. The MP is reported to have suffered a deep cut on his forehead, but was still taken to Parliament to vote before he was taken to the hospital for further treatment. Some Ghanaians have described the decision to rush the MP to Parliament after a near-fatal accident as reckless and insensitive. But speaking on another radio station yesterday, Mr. Drisu said safety precautions were taken before the MP was sent to Parliament to participate in proceedings. Politicians.
Like it was recently that we also saw another MP driven in an ambulance to go and vote.
Correct.
I think it's too late. I mean, yesterday I heard the Zebula MP saying it was irresponsible.
Completely irresponsible.
It was irresponsible.
Yes, I think we can all agree on that. I wouldn't. It would be no different to me if he was rushing to pass a bill that ensures that each Ghanaian gets $1 million in their bank accounts tomorrow. Even that would not, for me, be a reason to violate multiple traffic rules and regulations, to put your own life at risk. If he was my dad and I saw him, or I heard him say that his life was less important than passing these bills, I would be completely cross with him.
I would go and swap him for a bag of salt.
This Parliament has some very interesting stories around the voting. At the point we saw somebody in the Parliament, there was people were even doubting whether it was the person. And all those stories.
You're talking about my very own
I haven't
MP.
mentioned names. So.
Oh, you are talking about Honorable Adwasafa. Good morning
to the
to you,
extent that
MP.
people were doubting whether you were the person. And now somebody's had an accident with cats and his camp. Somebody was in an ambulance, and I mean.
Now this has been the consequence of the makeup of the 8th Parliament. This close numbers. It has caused a lot of tactics. We've seen a lot of tactics happening in the House of Parliament. I mean, in terms of the traffic violations, I think that he should be taken up on that. The car somersaulted many times. Imagine if lives had been lost because of this. Imagine his own life being lost.
The first thing the police would have done, if it were any of us, or it had been any of us, would have been to say, look, let's go to the station, or we impound the vehicle. You know, I mean, no form of explanation would make sense to the police at that time, knowing that you had broken traffic regulations according to his own words, and you had your car somersaulted, and you should have seen the vehicle mangled as it was. So no amount of explanation will make sense, and it's regrettable that you have the leadership, a member of the leadership in Parliament, because the deputy chief whip or chief whip is actually a leader of Parliament. For him to be saying that, well, the man was stitched in the washroom of Parliament, when Parliament itself has a Parliament clinic. There's a clinic in Parliament. The man was stitched in the washroom of Parliament.
Maybe they feared that the doctor would detain him.
Well, but the point is that
because he might have internal bleeding.
But the commonsensical thing to do is that you have a clinic. We have a clinic here at Media General. Let's assume.
Right.
And then I go. I get a cut, and then instead of going to the clinic, I go to the washroom and tell Babana sew the thing for me. Are you kidding me? Worst of, you bring me in an ambulance to come and take a vote, and then go back to the hospital. What if I died? Is he not thinking about it like you're saying? I mean, if you have family, his family should be very worried that the man is very, very reckless to begin with.
Completely reckless.
Very reckless. That we want to impose taxes on the people, and I have to be present. I have to be politically correct. I don't get it.
Well, I hope he's all right. I hope there's no case of internal bleeding and he can, go about his business. Should there be complications following this, I hope that his family members can forgive him for that.
Well, anyway, e-levy, where the jobs day? I asked this question yesterday. The Daybreak has put it on the front page, and they pay 3 and 4. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta aside the Herculean task of picking up the economy from its current shackles, appears to be saddled with another duty. Mr. Ofori-Atta's added responsibilities to show Ghanaians how the supposed proceeds from 1.75 e-levy proposed in the 2022 budget would ensure that over 11 million people are employed. It's unclear which form and regions the ghost jobs are, especially as issues of rural-urban migration soar in the country. The youth have been crisscrossing the country in search of non-existent jobs, but the government has said, among other things, that proceeds from the e-levy will support young entrepreneurs in the country as a way of tackling unemployment. This is it. Youth Start. Has it started?
For youth false start. That's what I'll call it, because we've seen some attempts. Last August, we saw some attempt to start. The government communicators were going around the different platforms telling us what to expect, and I haven't heard much since then. So for me at the moment, it's you false start. Indeed.
Okay, you false start.
Too many programs. Too many programs. I don't know which program is working under this government. I don't know which program is working, because capitation grants is not working. Get fund, there are issues. I mean, just yesterday we're learning about the school feeding. Caterers have not been paid. The increment that they're asking for from 90 pesos to 3 seats. I mean, 90 pesos.
97 pesos.
What does it do?
Per child.
Yeah. What does it do?
Per day.
I mean, that cannot even get you 2 sachets of water.
You can't even buy one bowl fruit these days.
So I think we should watch all those things.
HRH Don on Facebook, watching us live now, says, Johnny, the guy wants a ministerial position. Then the Lamte Sophia says, these MPs, some of them are not serious at all. Well, I mean, if he himself admits that he was speeding towards Parliament when he knew when Parliament was supposed to sit, I mean, if you're coming from wherever to destination A to destination B, you would know the travel time, and give or take, you may assume that, okay, traffic situation here and there. So you factor all that in, and you say, okay, if I have to be there by 11, maybe I move at 10, and then by 11 I am there. You don't wait until 10:45 and then you start moving towards a place that will take 45 or 1 hour to get there, and then you say publicly that you were speeding to get to that location. A member of parliament who makes laws has become the classical lawbreaker. The classical lawmaker has now become the classical lawbreaker. It's just like the Osu police station barracks that had illegal connection. The whole country is a crime scene.
Honestly,
the whole country, because the barracks, which is supposed to house police who are supposed to maintain law and order, were illegally connected. So the question, did ECG take police people to arrest them? I mean, when you think about some of these things, it just doesn't sit.
Honestly, when the general public says, "Oh, this story," the media will talk about it and forget about it the next day. We are living in a poly crisis.
They know what they're talking about.
We're living in a poly crisis. It's not that we'll forget one. You turn left, there's a problem here. You turn right, what problem do you want us to focus on? Mention the 1,065 problems that we're living in that you want us to focus on today, because the problems abound. We are living in a poly crisis.
Benis Abra says he's a politician. He would be flown out of the country for proper treatment because he has achieved something by imposing the taxes on us. I feel for the average Ghanaian. Frederick Tamate is not wishing him well at all. He says God is merciful. We should have killed him on the road.
Oh no,
Frederick. I mean, and you see, Frederick is oozing out the sentiments of many people. I mean, can you imagine the number of lives that he endangered on the road by that reckless driving, that somersaulting, and he hijacked the ambulance, which could have gone to save the lives of other people, just so he could get to Parliament. The ambulance will wait for him at Parliament, for him to finish being stitched up, cleaned up, to go and vote, and then come back to the ambulance. The ambulance is supposed to be touch and go, pick you from point one, drops you at the hospital, goes again to find another person to bring. But you hijacked the ambulance and you kept it there. Everybody else's life didn't matter. And that's why Tamate is not happy. He's not happy. The Daily Graphic this morning reports that addressing food insecurity, a Greek needs new module. Professor Nzamujo is Father Godfrey Nzamujo, founder of the Songhai Center in Benin, and commit more resources to mental health delivery. Dr. Achiman to government. President should state position on LGBTQ plus. Catholic Bishop, the Most Reverend Joseph Osei-Bunso, Catholic Bishop of Konongo Mampong. NLA targets revenue from Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. Big dreams. Bui to add 4 megawatts of power, floating solar installation, and man arrested for attacking ECG staff. The police have arrested him. I hope they arrested their friends at Osu as well.
There's some more details here. Quick one here. Woman accused of stealing baby survives lynching. We're told this happened in Kaswa. Now, a 36-year-old Monica Nandara survived being lynched by an angry mob after she was accused of stealing a baby at Kakraba Junction in Kaswa in the central region. Nandara, who was said to be offering help to a homeless woman and her baby, was accused of stealing the baby by the homeless woman, triggering a mob action. Reports indicate that on March 14 this year, Nandara, who owns a shop along the Nyanyano stretch and was into the production of pastry products, almost lost her life. She was almost killed by an angry mob who accused her of stealing a baby. Some even suggested that she should be burnt alive to serve as a deterrent to others who have intentions of perpetrating similar crimes. Nandara said she was working late in the night when she was informed by an apprentice that a woman and her baby were lying on the shoulder of the road. According to her, she decided to help the woman and her baby as it was late. Nandara said the woman indicated that she had been ejected from a kiosk and was simply helping. The homeless woman, however, raised alarm that Nandara was trying to put the baby in a vehicle and abscond with the baby, and that's when a mob moved in, threatening to burn her alive.
Sad one.
Sad. Well,
there's a story.
Final one quickly, and then we can go. Yeah.
Public universities, others record most payroll infractions. The Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, Dr. Udru Osai, has revealed that the Ministry of Health and public universities were the institutions captured most with payroll infractions. When we look at the public sector payroll, per the work we've done on the accounts following a directive from the Minister of Finance, Ken Uforata, the risky areas where we think these payroll and unearned salaries are on the increase include the education sector, health sector, local government sector. If we don't keep an eye on the payroll of these sectors, it will keep bloating and it will affect us.
I agree.
Salaries that they have not earned.
The ghosts are chilling.
Well, but how do we even get to the point where we say we have ghosts? Because we have done biometric. I remember under J. Kufuor, we did head count. People were asked to come to work to be counted. Now, in any serious working environment, you have supervisors. So if you don't turn up for work, your supervisor would know you didn't turn up for work. So how is it that you have supervisors, you have chief directors, you have sub-metro directors, all of those ones, and then you still come to tell us that we have ghosts? Where did they come from?
The human beings.
I don't know.
Biometric
I don't get it.
Once they are human beings.
I don't get it because the point.
It's a ghost-human collaboration.
Because the point is that if the person for a long time deductions have been made, like how the NCC guys have their deductions be made and they don't like it, they are registering their displeasure. I mean, if deductions have been made in your name and you are not so happy about it, but for 5 years, 3 years, nobody steps up to say, look, these deductions have been made in my name or whatever it is, and there's a problem somewhere.
I mean, once they are human beings, they will always create some holes in the system. So it calls for some of this constant supervision and checks.
That's right.
Because, I mean, crime, once there's life, there'll be crime. So it's important that we have these auditors really working.
Yeah, especially at a time like this where we cannot afford to lose any money. You see how everybody has charged. ECG has charged. Ghana Water Company says Ghanaians, you owe them some 800 million cedis. They too, they'll be moving in. Whether they provided you water or they provide your tap is off, they say they are coming for their monies.
They need to go for their monies, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Grateful. And the nation at an economic crossroad, seeking answers and direction. An economic summit that seeks to provide answers to the pressing questions will be held today. As a 3FM and TV3, in association with ASEP and Imani Africa, present to you the 3FM Economic Sustainability Summit. The theme, striking the balance between economic growth and fiscal responsibility. Speakers Benjamin Boachi of ASEP, Professor Fred Bokwing of the University of Ghana, Davis Ofosu-Dorte is the AB in David Africa, Senior Hosi Cleveland Tove, Doris Ahiati, Executive Coach, and Kwame Pienim, renowned economist, also Franklin Kujo, founding President Imani Africa. Join these speakers as they seek to provide solutions that will set the country on the right trajectory towards economic recovery. Venue